Alrighty then.
Hey.
Hi,
Hey.
Michelle.
Hi. How is everybody tonight?
Hi, everybody. This is John. I'm hanging out with Michelle one more time. June 21st. It's 4 o'clock in the West Coast. It's really
5
beautiful,
o'clock in the mountains.
right? It's really
Yeah.
beautiful here today. We have some nice, very cool, well, cool for June weather.
It's been 90 here. It's been hot. So for
Yeah,
once, it's been 90.
we're only in the 80s here, which is really nice with a cool breeze. It's pretty cool. In more ways than one. So yeah, we last time we came on, it was live from the Colorado Model Railroad Museum in person.
Doesn't that seem like a year ago? But it was only a month ago.
Kind of.
Because so much has been going on.
Yeah, it seems like it's
fun,
been
though.
seems like it's been a while. So but well, I've been busy. I know you've been busy. Geez, we're just both really busy.
We got a lot of stuff going on, but we had a lot of fun in May. So
yeah, and I've had a lot of fun in June as well. I pick up from your Facebook posts that you've had a little bit of fun in June too. So
yeah,
I'm sure we can talk about all of the above and just kind of have a relaxing, easygoing time of it. Because
just so they know, we didn't really plan a long program. We didn't plan a program. We're just going to talk about the stuff we've been doing.
we do. Yeah, whatever happens.
Yeah.
Oh, so I do want to mention a couple of things before we get started here. One is this is kind of getting started because I have a whole bunch of stuff about this, but we had the YouTube meet and greet last month. And boy, was that fun. I had never been to one of these events before. And, I don't know. Well, what did
I
you
hadn't either, so it was all new to me too. But it was fun. It was just like having a big family reunion of people you didn't know yet.
I have to write that down. It's like having a family reunion with people we don't know yet.
Yeah.
That's funny. Oh, I got to get some water. I sounded hoarse there for a minute. So since then, I've also had a trip to Salt Lake City, which I'll talk about a little bit later. Had been meaning to get out there really since before the pandemic to do some video layout tour videos, right? For people that I made friends with when I was out there for the national convention in 2019, and finally got around to doing some of those. There's still more that could be done, and as it turns out, the people that I filmed know other people that are probably going to want their layouts filmed. So
nice.
There will be there will be another trip back. One of the other layouts that I filmed over the past month was out in your area, Michelle, which was John Parker's BNSF Fall River Division, which is an very large HO scale layout in a basement.
That's fantastic.
It's a really good layout, and it seems like John has thought of everything. I'll share some pictures of that later. But also, I was thinking there are other layouts in your area that are becoming apparent as we do this. So, yeah. So I see traveling in my future.
There's a lot. There are a lot of layouts. Everywhere you go, there's actually so many layouts. The hobby is huge. I don't think people realize just how huge it is.
Yeah. Someone once told me, and I didn't understand really exactly what he was talking about because I think it was an inside joke of some sort that I just didn't get. But he kept saying something about how the hobby's bigger than anyone thinks it is, or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I know what people mean by that. So, but I mean, the hobby encompasses a lot of other stuff too, like all the different scales, including the ones that you can ride on. So, and that kind of takes you into the whole, what's the word for it? not restoration, but the whole preservation industry, if you will.
Yeah.
I was going to call it a hobby, but it's a little bit more than a hobby, isn't it?
There's so much to it.
Yeah.
It spans. The thing about the modeling hobbies is it also spans prototype.
Yeah.
So it makes it huge.
And all of it includes research. All of it includes building stuff. It's just,
yeah.
Yep. By the way, I was noticing that very stylish shirt you have on today.
You like that? I wore that.
I was so impressed when I came on. I'm like, hey, she's
I thought I should wear it. So the viewers know I'm going to be gone for a little while off the show because my schedule is not working out for this. So yeah. I thought I wore my TSG tonight.
Yeah, no, I like
that. Don't forget me.
Yeah, that would be hard to do. But also, well, I guess we should mention that. I mean, I was figuring to mention at the end what's going to happen. So next month in August, for sure, we're having guest co-hosts because Michelle's not going to be able to be here for those, right?
Not even in home.
Yeah.
Traveling on both. So
hopefully you'll be able to recharge and get rested up, and maybe we'll see you in September. But I guess we'll find out when we get there.
Yeah, we'll see how my life is going.
Yeah. But anyway, let's bring this slideshow up.
Okay.
Do you want to talk about some of the stuff you've been doing, the O-scale thing and all
that? Okay, so because it's me and it's typical my kind of day, I just got home. I'm actually downloading my photos into the PowerPoint so I can bring it up when you're done with yours. So I'm sorry, I'll be clicking over here for just a minute.
Okay, I'll bring up mine then, and we'll go from there. Yeah. So here's what I was talking about a minute ago. Tell you what, I'll even make this a large picture. There we go. So this is what I was talking about when we went to Colorado last month. It was at the same time as when we do TSG Live Talking Trains. So I thought, hey, we could do a live one in person, which we've never done before. We're always talking heads on the computer. So that's what happened. I invited Jason Jensen because I knew he was local.
Mm-hmm. Most people don't know he lives in Greeley.
Yeah, and he was nice enough to come over, and I thought, well, I had a great time, and it seemed like he did too. And
I thought it was really fun.
Yep, there's a top secret trivia question that's going to be the game winner on Jeopardy someday, which is the only, or let's put it this way, the first person ever to witness a live in-person Talking Trains show.
Okay.
It was Steve Anderson. That's ours. Steve 87th PSAP. I don't know if he's on here today. I haven't seen him talk yet, but he usually pops on and make some kind of smart aleck comments in the comments section. And I really enjoyed meeting Steve. I'm going to mention this real quick because I had no idea he was doing this and had no reason to expect anything. But Steve, on the first day of I guess, unofficial day of the YouTube meet and greet, gave us these little trucks that were customized that he customized himself. That was really a nice thing. I should have taken pictures of that for my presentation today, but
I took mine to the office too. I thought I'd have it here. I don't think I have it here.
Yeah,
I was to the office.
I was thinking I should do some product spotlights on ours that we have here.
It was super cute because mine had the Hostess cupcakes on it.
Yep.
And he said I was the hostess with the mostest, and he gave me this little truck with the Hostess cupcakes. And it was super cute. And he put the museum logo on the door, like it was the museum's Hostess truck.
Right. Do you remember what mine was?
Yours was something like the Ding Dongs or something.
Yeah, I got the Ding Dong truck.
I got the cupcakes, and you got the Ding Dong.
And I'm not sure why, but Sydney got a Zinger truck. I don't know that.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if if she does Zingers, but I think that was just because he wasn't going to give her the Ding Dong truck. So, but anyway, let me advance the slide here and we'll move on with this. So yeah, this is the first thing that I want to talk about in this slideshow was the YouTube meet and greet. So this happened last month between the 19th and 21st officially. We had an unofficial opening day on the 18th and an unofficial other day on the 22nd, which I'll get to. But this is something that Sparky 107 here on YouTube has been doing for, well, I think about the past 7 or 8 years. Every year he would go on vacation somewhere. And yeah, we're getting some comments here. Oh boy. Yeah. Anyway, Sparky's been doing these, and the way it started out was he would go on vacation on a specific week every year. And one time he's like, hey, I think I'm just going to invite people and see who shows up. So he went on his vacation to, Strasbourg or someplace out in that area back east somewhere. And a bunch of people showed up. So, right. So
people just kept coming. And
yeah. So the next year he did it again. And every year he did it again. It became kind of a tradition. So sometime about this time last year, he approached us and said, hey, I want you guys to do one out west somewhere. And I thought, well, I mean, the Colorado Model Railroad Museum would be a great home base for something like this, right?
Yeah.
So
we have a lot of things to do in our region.
Right. That's why I asked you, Michelle, and thank you. You were so nice to say, yeah, we should do that. And I guess, right now the rest is history. But I thought it was really cool. And I since we're both sitting here, I should want to thank you for doing that, because I can't think of a better home base for something like this better than the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. Not only is it model railroad related, but it's also an amazing place. So thank you.
Everybody felt at home over the weekend. They kind of all moved in.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like people had a great time.
Met and gathered and all that. So
yeah, for sure. So anyway, on to the first unofficial day. This would be on the 18th. People showed up kind of a day early. I mean, people had to travel, come in from out of town. And so we met up at the museum that morning and went and had a nice lunch together. That's the picture over here on the right side.
Cow. The restaurant's called The Cow.
Yeah, the cow. What was it before? The Mad Cow?
The Mad Cow. And then after Mad Cow disease came out, they changed it back to The Cow.
Yeah, I think they did a smart move, because Mad Cow is not a very good marketing ploy.
Yeah.
So, and then of course down there at the bottom left, that was the cookout that you and Keith were super nice enough to invite all these people that most of them you hadn't even met before to your house. We were supposed
to have a beautiful cookout in the yard and enjoy the lilacs, and it poured rain.
It was raining the whole time.
Rained the whole time. Luckily, my decks are pretty big. That's the lower deck in that picture. But yeah, it was rainy.
Well, and that's a testament, I think, to your hospitality, is that you had enough decks to house or hovel or whatever cover.
Pretty much got everybody under cover somewhere.
Yeah. And there were like 30 or 40 people there. So
people are always like, why did you put up metal tents, right? Like all of our deck coverings are these big metal things. We buy them from Costco. And I said, because Colorado gets a lot of hail.
Yep. Yep. So luckily it did not hail on us, because that would have been really loud under that deck.
Yeah, we didn't get hail. So it was a weird rainy season for Colorado. Literally, it's rained from May 18th to like 2 days ago. Wow. It's been so weird and so strange. Yeah, on Sunday was our first day with no rain in it in over a month.
Huh.
It's been really strange here. But yeah, you guys kind of kicked off the rainy season for us this year.
Well, I guess we were good for something then. But I just noticed in the picture on the right, I'm not sure what he's doing. It looks like Dave is blowing a kiss at Sid. I didn't notice that before.
It sure is. Look at that.
Yep. And he's only getting away with it because she's not looking that direction, I'm sure. Anyway, I do want to mention also that Keith made the best barbecued burgers I think I've had in quite some time. So So, yeah, super huge thanks, really, Michelle, to you and to Keith also. It was just really wonderful, and thank you so much. So the next day,
it still rained.
Yeah, it was raining again the next day, and
that's okay.
But also, it was really smoky because we had those fires burning in Canada where all the smoke was coming down, and it was.
And I think that's what really caused that settling in rain also for us.
You think so? I
mean,
I know that smoke does give all that particulate matter gives the moisture something to cling to. So there may be something to that. So, but we went to Georgetown. I'm sorry, we went to Golden, to
Colorado Railroad,
to the Colorado Railroad Museum, and I made some, strategic selection of photos here. Really, oh geez, really because of, well, the top left is the one most important to me because this is the guy that started it all.
It's his fault, all of it.
All of it's his fault.
Keith doesn't even get the blame this time. It's Sparky.
Right. And the other thing about the pictures, he's pointing kind of toward that water tower there. And that was an inside joke because when Sparky was out here about 4 or 5 years ago, someone let him run on a garden railroad, which is also at the top of my mind for other reasons, which we can talk about later. But someone let him run a train on a garden railroad, and he broke a tower that looked just like that. But anyway, he's also up in the middle, photo bombing a picture with me with my friend Alvin.
You and Alvin, yes.
This guy on the right, in case anybody doesn't know, is Heiss, or Mark Huber. I think that's how he says his last name. And he's a volunteer at the Colorado Railroad Museum. And he has his own YouTube channel that's quite good. And so anyway, he was nice enough to give us a tour of the Colorado Railroad Museum and, of course, their steam shop there, which I got some of that on video for a Chasing Trains episode that I'll talk about in a little while here. Okay. Then down on the bottom left is Roy Hardwick. That's Container Man 68. He also has a YouTube channel, and he does he's an over-the-road long-haul truck driver. He does a lot of YouTube stuff when he's out driving, so he gets to see a lot of cool stuff and shares it with everybody on his channel. And then, of course, our friend Gary is at the bottom in the middle. Yeah. He has a YouTube channel as well. That's just his name, Gary Perazzo. But if you search for Goofy Gary on YouTube, you'll find his channel. And he also gets a lot of really cool stuff. So he has
amazing photography through the years too.
Oh, yes.
Photography.
Yeah. Gary actually, I don't know if you knew this, Michelle, but he worked for Southern Pacific for many years.
Yeah.
As a clerk. And he worked for Southern Pacific, I think, as an excuse to go foaming because he had access to all the places by working for them. So, yeah. Then on the bottom right, there's Jennifer and Sydney. Mm-hmm. Jennifer is going to be our co-host. At least that's the plan for next month on this show. And we're actually having to do the show a week later than usual because I have something that I need to be doing on the day when we normally would have the show. I'll talk about that toward the end.
Okay.
So do you have any recollections from the Colorado Railroad Museum that
you've got my favorite locomotive there right in the middle, the 5771. My favorite of diesels there. Well, I don't know. I really love the tunnel motor too, though. They have a beautiful Rio Grande tunnel motor also. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it gets as much love because everyone's like, it's just all diesel, but it's really cool. They're also the home of the Rio Grande Southern number 20,
mm-hmm.
which is one of my favorites. And behind the ladies there in the lower right is a Galloping Goose. If people don't know what that is, that's also a Rio Grande Southern specialty.
Yeah. Yeah,
they were Pierce Arrow cars, like big, huge, like almost Rolls Royce, like Pierce Arrow cars, and they turned them into these like buses basically because they hauled goods and people across the Rio Grande Southern.
Yeah, it's like a rail bus, right?
Yeah. Yep. So, okay, I love the Colorado Railroad Museum. So just showing.
I do too. I first went there in 2015, and was just kind of blown away by all the really cool artifacts they have on display. And I've been back now, I think 3 more times. And I just, some of the stuff doesn't change, but I never get tired of looking at it. It's such a cool place.
Yeah, it's just a really fun place. So.
Yeah. So
that was fun that morning.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even getting rained on wasn't bad,
I know. We were all like, we'll just get wet. It'll be okay.
You dry off. You dry off pretty quickly in Colorado too, because it's very dry there.
Yeah. You do.
So from the Colorado Railroad Museum, we actually made a quick stop, at least our car that you were driving, Michelle. We made a stop at the N-Scale. Well, it used to be the N-Scale supply store.
Supply. Yeah. Now it's Rocky Mountain Train Supply.
Yes. Now, I didn't have any pictures from there, but I did want to mention it because when we walked into that place, I was surprised because I didn't expect them to have so much stuff in there. And I want to just kind of give them a shout out because they have a cool store. And if you live in the Denver area, it's worth checking out, especially if you're a model railroader.
Right. And they've been an N-Scale store for over a decade. And because we had no brick and mortar, they stepped up, even though they weren't other than N-Scalers that own it. They do all the scales for all of us. I mean, talk about expanding your business for the sake of others.
Yep.
So, and they're just wonderful. So,
yep. Yeah. So a little shout out to them. We have the link.
There's a comment from Roy. Yeah, that one. A lot of people bought stuff. Thank you for supporting our local brick and mortar.
Yeah.
Thank you, Roy.
Roy and Cameron, that's Caboose 121, have this thing called the Buy More Trains Club or something like that. And I think everywhere we went, I was watching them buy stuff. So
it was great.
They supported a lot of business. Anyway, so from there, we ended up at the Forney Museum of Transportation in Denver. Yeah. And this is a place, just for people if they're not aware of it, you took us there, Michelle, for the first time about 2 years ago.
Probably the first time you ever came out here. I think we ended up going there.
Oh, that was 4 years ago. Jeez.
Yeah.
Well, I fell in love with that place almost instantly because, as you can see from the picture on the bottom right there, they have so many cars and motorcycles and air vehicles, and it's just amazing what they have. And they also, and I can't believe I didn't put a picture of it in here, but they also have one of the remaining big boys on static display. Can you believe
their largest thing? But that's okay.
Yeah. Well,
I love their car. So their car collection changes monthly. Like they have another size of museum and storage, and then they also feature something different every month. So you never know quite what you're going to see when you go there. I mean, I'm sure they have it online, but I was like, one time I went in and it was Woody's. Like the cars
no way.
It was so cool. And I've seen Corvettes there, and I've seen all kinds of different, car types. So half of their show floor changes every month, which is really fun.
Yeah.
Yes, and they do have big boy number 4005.
Yeah, that's kind of the draw if you're a rail fan.
They have the one that was wrecked, converted to oil, converted back. They have the one that took the biggest beating during its lifetime for sure.
I noticed when we were there something that I didn't notice the first time, which is that the tender on the 4005 still has a stoker in it. So it is the coal tender still.
Yes. Yep, it is.
Which is pretty cool.
There's a funny story about that big boy. When they moved it in, they needed to move it 6 more feet, but they didn't have any way to do it. And they literally moved it with 2 humans and some chain and levers.
Really?
Like, they really moved it 6 feet on their own. It's pretty impressive. Like, they used physics and it worked.
Well, that's the nice thing about physics is it always works.
Yeah. They moved it 6 feet.
Oh, man. So we have our buddy Dave Hammer up there in the middle, and he was standing when I took this picture. It was actually a video that I took a still frame grab from, and we were standing in the model railroad in the back of the Forney Museum. And
the Moffett modelers.
The Moffett modelers. Yeah. So they have a big N-scale layout, And I don't know. I mean, is it actually part of the museum, Michelle, or is it just their property?
Well,
I don't know. How does that work?
They're making it. They're trying to be open while the museum is open, but it's not actually owned by the museum in any way. It is a separate club, and they give them space there.
Right. So the layout, the space that the layout's in belongs to Forney. Is that it?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But they've been there a really long time, and they've been upgrading it so that the public can go back there safely, because it was part of the warehouse, and now they can have it open, which is really nice. And it's a great layout. It's the entire Moffett line from Denver all the way to Winter Park.
Yeah, it's a cool layout. And frankly, that's one of the layouts that I was thinking of when I was making comments earlier about maybe going back to Colorado for more layout videos. So, but we'll have to talk to someone from there. There was someone, Michelle, and I can't remember who it was now, who would comment. They'd watch our videos here on the channel and they would comment, and they would always say that, "Oh, I wish I'd known you were going to be in Colorado. I would have met you at our club." And that's his club. And I can't remember who it is now.
Yeah, I don't know who that would be.
Yeah. So. I can't remember. That's the problem with. Oh, there's Steve. Steve finally showed up on the chat down here. he missed all those nice things I was saying about him.
Yeah.
Oh well, too bad.
Everybody thought the ding dong truck was appropriate for you.
Yeah, he'll have to go back and watch the replay. Anyway, is there anything else from the Forney Museum that you recall that you think is worth mentioning?
I just love the picture of Alvin and Sparky in the video car.
Yeah, that ended up on a thumbnail for the Chasing Trains video.
That's hilarious. If you're in Denver, it's downtown Denver, and you should go visit this museum.
Yeah. So. Also, if you ever go to the Rocky Mountain Train Show, it's right across the freeway from there.
Street. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you could walk there in about probably 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's really close.
Yeah, depending where you start out. If you start out in the back of the train show, it might take you 10 or 15 minutes to get there.
It'll be longer.
Yeah, because the train show is that big. Anyway, so on to the next one. This was that evening at the Colorado Model Railroad Museum, and if you look at these pictures, you'll notice that almost all the pictures, someone's holding a microphone as if they're doing an interview. Almost all of these pictures are still frame grabs taken from the live program that we did. It was a live stream from the museum that night. And if you look, you can see on the bottom left corner of a bunch of these pictures that it's, the name of the program is TSG Live YouTube Meet and Greet 2023. And you know, I didn't have any idea what I was going to do in terms of content wise for that live stream. So I just, and even
I wasn't worried. I knew there'd be plenty of content, especially after meeting my family reunion family.
Right.
They're hilarious. I knew there'd be content.
I ended up being live. I was going to do it for half hour, maybe an hour, just because I didn't know what I was going to do. And we ended up going live for 2 hours because it was just so much fun and just
everybody was having fun.
Yeah, and everybody got in on it. That was one of the coolest things. Was everywhere I looked were people that I knew, and I'm like, here, why don't you interview this person? So I just hand the microphone to Alvin, at the top. I said, here, why don't you interview Dave? So he did. Then over here on the right side, you can see Alvin was interviewing you on the bottom.
Yep.
And James and Heath took turns. Oh, and now Cameron's going to remind us about the embarrassing thing they did to me.
That was hilarious.
That was really funny. And Michelle, I'm really, really glad that you got video of that whole thing because it makes for a really funny scene in one of the upcoming Chasing Trains episodes.
Oh, it's going to be in Chasing Trains. Okay, so you guys are going to have to watch that episode because it's hilarious.
Yeah, that's going to be coming out sometime. We'll talk about that when we get toward the end here. But this again, Michelle, was I can't thank you enough. That was so much fun. And having been to the museum myself, this must have been probably the 15th or 20th time that I've been there, but I was watching everybody else having so much fun. And it was just the best feeling to see people having that much fun.
We should talk about the crane.
Yeah.
So Cody Brooks is the guy in the middle picture holding the cell phone. And Cody is an innovator. He is an amazing person. And he surprised us. We had no idea he was bringing this crane. And so he texted me and said, Michelle, can I bring a crane? And I'm like, Cody, you can do whatever you want. So I have no idea what he means by that.
Right. So he walks in with a bird.
And I always trust Cody because he comes in with interesting stuff all the time. But this crane was, how do you even describe it? It moved in 18 different ways, and you had to control it precisely and put the rail car back on the track using the HO scale crane.
Yep. And I think the best way to describe it is to have people watch the video, because it's a remote controlled rail car and it has a decoder and it has a bunch of little servos or motors in it. It's just really cool. I mean, that's something that's
really cool. You control it with the throttle, right? So yeah, it's got a decoder in it that moves the boom in and out and up and down and left and right. And like, it is a fully functional crane.
Yep.
That was fun. For operations, I thought I saw an operations question. We did something new at the museum that night. You guys were, the YouTube guys were all our guinea pigs. So it worked out really well though. I thought it'd be the perfect group to start it. So among our volunteers, we asked for people who would be willing to step up and become what we're calling our ambassadors. And I thought maybe I'd get, 5 or 6 who'd be willing to come to an event where they didn't get to run a train. They were there just to help give another model or a great experience. And I had like 32 guys sign up. So we had a very full contingent of ambassadors. And I think our guys had just as much fun as those operating. But what it is because our layout is, gosh, how do you say, it's complicated. It's very large and it's complicated if you've never been on it. So you can't just grab a throttle and think you're going to just go, right? Right. So in order to run a train on the layout and have that experience, our ambassadors go with you because they know where the next signal is. And it's sometimes on the other side of the mountain, right? So, so our ambassadors spent the evening giving whoever wanted to run that experience. And I'm so proud of our volunteers. They were just, I think they were wonderful. I've heard great things from the guys who participated. So I hope everybody had a good time.
Yeah. And it's a really great thing that you were able to come up with that program, because otherwise people have to have operated there for a long time to get a chance to operate. So
it's 2 full days of training to even go by yourself.
Right.
And so we were trying to figure out how to make it happen for this group. And one of the guys came up with this ambassador thing, and it's what we're going to do from here on. I think it's great.
It worked out really well. Oh, and don't forget about the F unit. I hesitate to call it a simulator because Bill doesn't like to call it a simulator.
He calls it a throttle. He calls it protocab.
Yeah, but it is though, right? I mean,
the loco cab. He calls it loco cab or something like that. Yeah.
And I didn't put a picture of it on here because I figured I could tell people if they want to learn about it. There's a whole video that I did with Bill, I think last year, that you can find on this channel. I'm sure our amazing top secret producer will find the video. And I think on this channel, it's called the F unit simulator or something like that. Yeah. Again, calling it a simulator, which
I that out that site too. Among everybody else that's new on the layout, we also had the camera train out.
Right. And Cody brought a bunch of his special trains. So there was a lot of stuff going on that night. And you and the volunteers at the museum did an amazing job, I think, entertaining and hosting a great, I'm just going to call it a party.
And then the bottom center picture, Sparky actually donated a lot of rail cars to be auctioned off to raise money for the museum.
Yeah.
And that was fantastic. So again, I want to thank you, Sparky, for doing that, and really appreciate it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Steve is saying that he had something here. He ran into the guy. Oh, I thought he meant he had a collision on the layout.
No, he knows Mr. Kingsley, where it came from, the people who donated it. There was a group of about 6 men that brought us that simulator. And they were all from Washington State. Yep. And so that's cool, Steve. That's awesome.
And what's even more cool about it is I think Steve got to run the
Oh,
simulator.
I hope so. I hope he did.
Yeah, there's the link if people want to watch the video about it. But wait till we're done here. You can always go back to it in the comments. So
or just click over and ignore us. That's fine too.
Yeah, I guess so. They can watch that while we're yammering. But anyway, so and then of course the top left there, Chris Palomares, formerly of Athern, that's how I knew him, also showed up, and it was really great. It's always nice to see Chris. So anyway,
very nice.
Yeah.
Okay, what do we do next? I've already forgotten what we did the next day.
Yeah, well, I got it all on the presentation, so we'll get there. But I do want to thank you and thank the museum and thank your volunteers, Michelle, because as far as I could tell, everybody had a great time.
Yeah. Well, our guys had it. The museum volunteers had fun too.
Yep. Good. I'm glad everybody helped everybody else have a great time.
Yep.
So this is the next day. This was Cheyenne Depot Days day. And I wish I could make the TSG watermark go away because it's covering up Jason Jensen in that picture.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know if I can make that go away. I think if I make it go away, the StreamYard logo.
He's right. Many Prince was scanning that night.
Oh, I forgot.
And then this morning. They were doing this morning also.
Yeah, I forgot. Here, let's do this. Here, we'll make it so that Bernard doesn't feel left out. Ready? Rewind. Oh, and Bernard was scanning people this night. Everybody had
and you
fun
can see somebody behind Jennifer in the middle there. That's where he was scanning.
Yeah.
A lot of people got scanned though. It was fun. It was just one more thing going on that night that was fun, you know.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot. See, there was so much going on over this entire event that it's hard to cover everything.
I got rescanned too. We did a second because I forgot I wanted to do a t-shirt logo, and the first one my t-shirt's all scrunched and I'm holding the phone right in front of it, so we redid mine.
Okay, I was wondering what the whole idea was.
Well, I did another one with me standing because Bernard and I had talked about how we could do the museum's t-shirt logo as a decal.
Yes.
Because that's what I wear all the time. So
there you go. Anyway, now back to this.
Okay. Next morning, Bernard's still scanning.
Thank you. So I don't forget. So Bernard had more people to scan that morning. So and then we thought, and I think this was kind of a last minute thing. We're like, wait a minute, we need to get a group photo of everybody.
So we said, come at 10, and we took this photo.
Yeah. So luckily Bernard didn't have to scan the whole time because he brought his
just showed up.
Right.
Friends. That's hilarious.
You didn't miss anything, Bernard. We got you covered, buddy. But he also did this great group picture in front of the OC&E rail car that's behind the museum. So using his drone. So that was another scan right there.
Yep.
But yeah, so then upper right, Jason Jensen was at the party the Friday night, which was the day before, obviously. And then he came in this morning to be in our group picture, which I just had it showing there. Now StreamYard is covering up, but him not as much though. But anyway, so yeah, you can see from the pictures that everybody had a great time. We went to Cheyenne Depot Days that day, and we rail fanned on the way to Cheyenne because it's about an hour drive, and well, the railroad track frontages the highway or vice versa practically the whole way. And so we did some rail fanning on the way up and had some great tacos. We ended up going to Holiday Park, which is on the bottom row there, over one from the far right. That's where the 4004, which is the other, well, one of the other big boys in the area, is on static display there. And as luck would have it, there's a video all about that locomotive and the restoration process.
You get to spend time with one of the people who worked on it.
Yeah.
In the past video.
Exactly.
And he actually came out to meet us. He came and hung out with us.
He did. He came to lunch.
Yep. We had lunch with him. His name's Mike Panel, and he came out and met us there, which was really neat.
What a guy. I need to get back out to Mike's silo and do some more restoration videos, but It'll happen one of these days. But anyway, we had a great time looking at that. We also went to yet another train store, Choo Choo R Us. They were open that day.
Yep.
So Roy and Cameron got to buy more stuff.
They bought more stuff.
Yep.
I don't know how I guess it's a good thing they drove because they both bought a lot of stuff.
Yeah, they probably would have been arrested at the airport if they had flown. They would have thought, wait a minute, no one carries around this many, model trains. There must be something wrong going on here.
I see I'm being asked if I have a cell phone in my second scan. Split Rock, I don't. That's why we did a second scan. Because even at the layout at the museum, cell phones didn't exist. So I had to do a scan without a cell phone in it.
See, there's a reason for everything.
So, yeah. We went to Choo Choo Russ. They actually have, they're a business that mainly goes to train shows and sets up a huge booth. And then they sell out of their new garage that has the best rail fanning. So.
Yeah. They have a deck, or it's not a deck. It's like I don't even know. What is it?
Patio that's on the edge of a little, there's a little valley between them and the Union Pacific Transcon main line. And they have an unobstructed view of the Union Pacific line. It's fabulous.
And we sat out there actually. And I don't know, were you out there, Michelle, when the train came through?
Yes, it was fantastic. Actually, what was really funny is that when the train came through, it was 4 ladies out there and no guys.
Oh, I ended up walking out there while the train was going through.
You guys came out, but when it first was coming, I was like, look at this. A whole bunch of ladies rail fanning.
Well, you should have taken a picture.
I know, I should have. It was funny because it was Jennifer and Sydney and me and the wife of Choo Choo R Us. She was there. So.
Yep.
Sandy is her name.
That's right.
And, we were laughing. It was just the ladies.
That's pretty funny. Oh, man. So anyway, after that, we went to a mall. And what's the name of that? I can't remember the name of it.
It's, I think it's Frontier Mall, but we
Frontier.
went to the Sherman Hill Model Railroad Club's layout.
Uh-huh.
And they have not only their permanent one, so there's this huge tie-in. So they have kind of a permanent place in the mall. And the layout there is actually, the majority of it is what the man who built the Colorado Model Railroad Museum had a traveling modular layout. And that is what makes up the one that they have as a permanent layout. Now, they've made so many changes to it. There's only a few things that are still the same, but it's just how we're tied together. It's just really neat.
Mm-hmm.
And then they also had their modular from their club up across the way in the mall in a big room. So it was kind of neat to see both layouts.
Yeah, I was surprised. I did not expect to see in any mall 2 model railroad displays. That's pretty cool. 2
big model railroad displays in a shopping mall. Who would have ever guessed?
Yep.
Craig. And Craig, he had all the mini prints, right? Is that the and he's like, he was just so excited. He started showing Bernard, and we have this and this and this. Here's a mini print. Here's a mini print. So that was fun.
Had a great time at the mall. When's the last time you had a great time at the mall?
1987.
Right. I mean, at least where I live, the malls are kind of a declining thing. So then after that, we made a mistake and we went to the Cheyenne Depot right around 3:00, thinking that they were going to be open until 4.
Because they always were in the past. I had no idea they closed at 3, so we missed it, and I felt so bad.
So we didn't get to see the museum. I mean, I've seen it before, so I wasn't really heartbroken, but there were people in our small group that went with us that day that didn't get to see it. So I felt kind of bad. So instead we sat out on the Alias. Is that what it's called? Alien? What's Accomplice
Brewing. It's a brew pub in the depot.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't a name. I couldn't remember.
I always try to say Alibi, but I'm pretty sure it's Accomplice. It starts with A.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's Accomplice. But anyway, it's basically a brew pub, right? I mean, inside the depot.
Yeah. And, inside. And their patio directly abuts the Union Pacific Yard in Cheyenne. So all the trains pull up there. And it's crew change. So they crew change right there at the brew pub.
Right. So this is where I was getting to. So we had to sit there and drink a beer.
Yeah. It's like, oh, darn, I guess we'll just drink a beer.
Yeah. shoot. And it was, I don't remember what I had, but it was pretty good. I think Bernard picked it, but it was pretty good though. So anyway, after that was kind of the I think the highlight of the day for most everybody who went to the depot days at all, which was the Union Pacific Steam Shop, which is that's something that I guess they opened that, Michelle, right?
Yes, for depot days.
Depot days, yeah.
So it was cool because everybody got to go and see it. I was so excited that they did that. So
I felt well, it was hard because I wanted to go during the day, with everybody else, but we didn't want to overwhelm their transportation that they had.
Yeah. I talked with the depot ahead of time, and I'm like, we want you to sell max number of tickets. So we spread our people out and some into the evening to let them sell, because it's a fundraiser for them.
Right.
And so we were trying to help the depot. So.
It worked out too, because we got there, and even though I could tell that the guys there were tired from being open all day, but they were super hospitable, and they had the cab open of the 4014 big boy. So
I think it's bothering Heath that you're not showing us.
Oh, well, if it really
we do exist, Heath.
Yeah. If it makes you feel that much better. You get to see
now I can't drink my soda because y'all can see me. I'm just kidding.
Well, plus I have the dork headphones on.
You're probably better off not seeing us, but that's fine.
That's what he really wanted to do. Can you imagine though, if someone was watching this with the volume off, they probably would switch it over and be like, why is this just a picture?
Yeah. So when we were at the Steam Shop, the picture on the far right in the middle is Jennifer and her boyfriend, John Stravino, who's on the Steam crew.
Yep.
And it looks like Alvin's trying to steal John from Jennifer, though.
Well, either that or he's fangirling John. I don't know which.
Definitely fangirling John.
Yeah.
John is also a volunteer at the museum, so we know him really well. He's a great guy.
Yeah. I really like John a lot.
Keith, you're so funny.
It also helps that he has a great name.
Yeah.
So, and then at the bottom right, I need to point this out. On the bottom right, that's Nick Valdez. And I put his picture on here very much intentionally because I wanted to tell the story about the Queen pin.
Oh my God, no. It's Nick's fault. I was giving him such a hard time.
Yep. Nick is the creator of a new comic book superhero called the Queen Pin. And well, we'll talk about that some other time.
You have to watch a Chasing Trains episode to get that one.
Yeah, we actually described that. We did. We described that whole thing on the Chasing Trains episode. So you'll have to watch that. Anyway, so afterwards, we didn't know this was going to happen, but the guys at the Steam Shoppers are like, hey, you guys want to go get dinner? So we're like, yeah, sure. So we ended up at this Mexican place, and that's the picture in the kind of in the middle, but to the right, next to the one where Alvin is hugging John Stravino there. And that was pretty cool. I mean, I didn't end up getting to talk to those guys much at all, but it was kind of neat that they went with us to dinner.
Yeah. Well, we got invited to Bruce's dinner.
I guess that's really what it was, because Bruce was the one. I mean,
Nick and his dad, and then everybody was standing there, and so we all went to dinner. There's a great Mexican restaurant I'd never been to before. I didn't even know it existed, and it has rail fanning. So if you're in Cheyenne, what was it called? Tres Amigos?
Someone posted it in the comments. Is
it Tres Amigos? Anyway, you guys should eat there because it has awesome rail fanning. I had never been there.
What was funny to me was we were seated kind of near the windows where we could see the railroad tracks. And every time a train came by, someone in our group was like, train, train, train. There's like 30 people looking out the window. And I'm sure that the other patrons of the restaurant were like, what is wrong with these people?
What is wrong with that group of people? They did stick us in a room by ourselves. They must have known Bruce already.
Yeah. Thinking back, I remember Bruce was trying to tell people at the group photo there that's on the top left of the picture.
Tres Amigos.
He mentioned it when we were at that, and I had completely forgotten because Well, I wasn't driving, so I was kind of like, well, I'll just eat wherever Michelle goes because you were driving that day.
You kind of didn't have a choice.
Yeah. Well, there wasn't really anywhere else to go. I don't think that could hold that many people. So quick shout out, I guess, to Bruce. He didn't show up in any of my pictures, although he is in that group picture.
He's in the hat. He's in the hat on the left in the front.
There he is. Yeah, next to my tree.
That is Bruce Brackley. If you don't know him, he's an amazing person.
Yeah,
he's one of my favorite peoples.
Yep, what a great guy. I've been in contact with him since then too. We have plans, Michelle. The next time I'm in your area, we're gonna go do some rail fanning with Bruce. So anyway, so that was a great time. Great folks. Super shout out again to the folks at the steam shop for having us over.
That was fun.
It was really cool, and I had never been into the cab of that 4014 before, so that was a first for me. There was one thing that was disappointing though, was that they didn't have that big shield on the floor. I was hoping I'd get to see that, but it wasn't in there.
He didn't want people to walk on it, I'm sure.
I don't know what the story was.
I'm not sure why he had it out of the floor, but he did. He had it out.
Yeah.
Maybe they were doing work. It's possible they were doing work.
I think it was something like that, because I asked John about it and I forgot now what he told me. But anyway, so, that's interesting. Dave is going to see Bruce on Saturday. Is Bruce going out to Illinois?
At the Illinois Rail Museum. I think it's Kate's. This is Jim Rinn's Memorial Weekend that Kate is putting on, and they're doing stuff at the Illinois Railway Museum and a Shay It Forward event. Okay. So there's a lot of things going on out there.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like the same kind of thing that Bruce would be at. So that'll be good. Tell him we said hi, Dave, when you see him. Anyway, I can't think of anything else that happened on that day. So I think I'll scoot this forward.
Okay.
Aha. So this was the next day. This is the one where we went to Georgetown Loop.
Yes, Georgetown Loop Railroad. And there it is at the top.
Yeah, and I think that's the only picture I took of you, Michelle, on this entire trip.
Oh, and I'm obviously full sun and squinting like I can't see
you. So Georgetown Loop had some trouble with their steam engine the day before, so we ended up getting to ride behind this. I forget now. They told us on the train, what is it, 55-ton engine?
Yeah, there's something unique about it. Where's Bernard Mini Prince? He knew all about it.
Oh, well, there we go.
He's our switcher guy. I don't know if he's still on, but yeah, they have. I like it though. I like their little switcher. I don't mind riding behind it.
Sure, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that's why it's a diesel there instead of a steam engine over that bridge.
Yeah.
So, but it was.
And look at the car right below on the left. Mm-hmm. The entire car, except for 3 people, was our family reunion.
Yep.
And those 3 people were so fascinated with us.
Yes, they were.
On the way back down the hill, they said, "Could we take a selfie with all of you?" Do you remember that? I think they wanted a picture to tell their friends and family, "Look what we had to do."
Yeah. Look at these weirdos on the train. They were crazy.
They were so fun.
Yeah. That is hilarious. But I had a great time on this train ride. I had not been here in, I counted it. It's like 30 years last time I was at this place.
Yeah. And then they were kind and gave us a shop tour. Paul is wonderful.
Yes.
And, yeah. So it was fun to go through and just see their kind of behind the scenes stuff.
Yep. And also, one of the other cool things I thought about that engine is that they had a whistle on it and not a horn. So it sounded like a steam engine when they blew the whistle.
I don't know. I can't wait to see Heath's footage from that. I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't either.
Camera thing, it's like a 360 or something.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to share that stuff out.
Yeah, the guy holding his hand up like the Statue of Liberty. So
I didn't know Bernard was live the whole ride. That's funny.
Oh, I didn't know he did it live the whole time.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Oh, I hope he caught some of the shenanigans on the train when we were doing all the cheering and all that.
That's funny.
Yeah.
It's just such a beautiful place. I love the bridge that you cross over the river before you get on the train, and you see your train coming down across the High Bridge,
Mm-hmm.
and then and it's just such a beautiful place. I just
really
like
is.
being there. It's just a beautiful place.
It's a relaxing.
And we saw blue sky. We actually got out of the smoke for the first time. You could see things. So.
Yeah, that I think was the first time we saw the mountains on that trip, was going to Georgetown.
Yeah.
So
and then we went to Union Station at the bottom and did a quick little tour.
Yep, Denver Union Station. That was followed by a trip to an overpass where the BNSF yard is.
Could you imagine, Heath, if your grandma lived in Silver Plume? So you literally went over the river and through the woods to grandmother's house?
oh boy. But we haven't even been on an hour yet, Michelle.
I'm sorry. That was awesome. That was funny, Heath.
Yeah. So
that's cool, Possum Bayou.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that. I guess a lot of people were doing the live streams from Georgetown, of all places. I just didn't expect that.
I'm surprised you had signal.
Yeah, for real. Anyway, so after going to Union Station, where Michelle was kind enough to give us a little tour of not only the special, what do you call that loving cup thing? Is it a prize? Is it an artifact? What is that?
It was a gift to David Moffett for saving Denver.
Right.
Because Denver grew by 8 people in 3 years. As the Union Pacific was building across to Cheyenne, no one went to Denver. So David Moffett built the Denver Pacific, which connected Denver to Cheyenne, right through Greeley. It's the tracks we have today right by the museum. And from there, he just kept doing more railroads and ended up with what we now know as the Moffett line. He had the Denver, Salt Lake, and Pacific. But there was a point in time where the people of Denver were so grateful for Mr. Moffett and all he did to make the city a city again. Actually, to make a small town into a city.
Right. So it's this giant silver cup. It looks like the Stanley Cup.
It's 200 pounds of silver and it's beautifully engraved. And they gave it to him and they called it the Loving Cup because they loved him so much.
You get the whole story on Chasing Trains.
You get Michelle telling it, which is not that great. Brad tells a better story, but
well, we got whatever we could.
You get what you get with me, right?
Well, it was fine. You knew more about it than we did, so it was fine. But it was a cool little tour of the basement as well, where they used to have model railroads down there. That was kind of a cool story as well. So anyway, then we went to an overpass to Railfan and hung out there for, I don't know, what was it, a couple hours maybe?
Yeah. Well, we had like an hour and a half to kill, and I'm like, well, I know where we can go. So we went to the 48th Avenue Bridge, is what it's called, and it's the joint yard. Or North Yard. It's half UP, and then there's a BNSF section. They're in a modal or on the same yard, and so we've got a bunch of guys up on a bridge, and a bunch of guys down below with me, and so here comes out the yard master out of the UP office, and he walks up and he's like, "Is there something going on I don't know about?" And I said, "Yeah, it's me. I brought a whole bunch of people over." He's like, "We thought maybe there was a special coming through. They didn't tell us," or we had no clue why we had 50 people rail band at one time. We freaked them out.
There was one guy on one of the switchers that was giving us a real show too, just yelling and dancing around.
They were hilarious. I tell you, those guys are so nice. They're such nice people.
Anyway, so after that, it was time for dinner, and that was great too. So that was really the official end of the official event. But there were still people around the next day. Before I get to that, I want to mention that the full story of all the stuff is going to be out on this channel in the form of 3 episodes of Chasing Trains, the series. The first one is going to come out in about 2.5 weeks on July 15th. That's the one on the top left there. And then the second one that covers the Cheyenne Depot days is going to come out on August 19th. And then the third one that covers what we just talked about is on October 22nd. So if you think that if you missed the event, or if you were there, it's probably even more fun. But if you missed it, this will give you more detailed sort of behind the scenes of what we did that weekend. It was a great time though. So this is what happened the next day. Michelle, this guy. Yeah. So this guy in the picture is John Parker. He has the layout pictured, and it's in his basement, and it is maybe, well, it's one of the largest. Yeah, it's one of the largest privately owned layouts that I've ever seen, but also one of the most well done layouts.
Mm-hmm.
This layout is almost fully scenic, and it's not just cheap scenery. It's really well done scenery, and there's a lot of attention to detail. The backdrops are good. Everything is good, and the operational design of this thing is really good. Like, so good that I want to get back out there to go do an op session, and he invited us. So
I have to tell you that one of the best days ever was the day I actually got my own name card for operating at his layout. So I was like official. I was so excited.
He was nice enough, Michelle. I thought it was really cool of him to allow us to come look at his layout. Like, whoever was left, I think we brought about 15 or so people over there, and just had a great time talking to John. He let some people run trains. It was just a great time. And
the question there, he had a couple of guys that would help him. He had kind of a small team, but not a huge team of people. What was it, like 5 maybe?
Well, we met 2 of them. That was Whit and Michael, I think, or Mike.
But I don't think it was more than 5 people. John did this work. And this is what's interesting about his layout. You get really lost in it because it's that mushroom design, that like over under thing. And you can kind of see in the bottom middle picture. That's a good one to show you where he has 2 levels. So on one side of the wall, you're lower than you are on the top, and he uses the same space. So he gets a lot more layout in the space. It's pretty phenomenal. And it's hard to wrap my brain around it. Sometimes I'm like, wait, now where am I?
Yep.
So, his scenery, his buildings are fantastic. He has that lighted warehouse section right where you come in there. It's fabulous.
Yeah, it's a good layout. And just for people who are interested in seeing more, I went back the next day with Sydney, and we recorded with John a full layout tour video. So it will be out on the channel. I don't remember when. I'm in the process right now. Actually, it's up on my editor here on my computer, and I started editing that one yesterday. So it'll be fully edited pretty soon.
Yes, and
Roy brings up another thing that John does, which is he has nighttime mode, which would be really challenging, I think, to operate in, but it really looks good. That's where he has all the lights turn off, and he has blue LEDs up in the valences. It's
really cool. And he runs it with a dispatcher. He has a dispatching office.
Yes.
So there is a dispatcher, and there's also in the main yard, they call crews, and it's an interesting process the way they call crews. Like, you wait in the crew lounge, and the phone rings, and you answer crew lounge, and they'll say, looking for engineer Michelle, and I'm like, this is Michelle. Like, your train is ready. Come to the tube, and then you go to this little thing, and you get your train orders, and it's so fun.
Yeah. I don't know that there's anything John hasn't thought of with his layout. It's just
it's fabulous.
Yeah, it's a remarkable layout. It's a really cool design, and he has some very interesting trains too. My favorite train, and I don't know, Michelle, if you saw this when you were there, but is the ribbon rail train. Did you see that one?
I don't know if I saw that. I ran Greg McCombs' grain train on this layout, though. That was fun.
Okay, that's Macrail, right?
It was a guest train, and I got to run it.
That's cool. He has a ribbon rail train. It's, the continuously welded rail.
Yeah.
Have you seen those trains in real life? It's like 20 or 30. Sorry, it's like 20 or 30 feet long. It's really cool.
That's cool. Yeah, I think he runs a fast clock.
I think so, but I don't remember what the ratio is.
Yeah, I don't know the ratio he runs on it, but I do know there's an end time. And when John's ready for dinner, it's just done. Off. It's fun.
I really appreciate layout owners who do that. There's like, hey, the power's going off in 5 minutes. Get as much done as you can. As
far as you can. Yeah, right? It's great. And then we all go out to dinner, and it's great.
Yeah, because otherwise you'll be there all day and never eat. So, and I like to eat. I like to eat. So
yeah.
Anyway, so let's move on from that. That's just look for that in the upcoming months. It'll probably be October or something like that. September, October when that one comes out. It's going to be a good layout tour though. So that was the end of the Denver or Colorado trip for me. I know you did more stuff after that, Michelle. Didn't you have a convention or something that you?
I had the OSCO convention recently. Yes. But before that, I chased the big boy.
Oh, that's right. You went out because they went out to that college thing, right?
Yeah, they did the College World Series train. And so I have some pictures to show whenever we're ready. But you can talk about Salt Lake first if you want. Either way.
Well, why don't I speed through the Salt Lake thing? Because I've done quite a bit more than that. And I should mention too, I never do this, but I'm going to this time. Every one of the videos that I have done, which would be those Chasing Trains videos, either have already been seen by the TSG train crew, or they will be able to be seen soon by the TSG train crew, because everyone on the TSG train crew, which is the supporters of the channel on Patreon, they get early access to all that stuff. So as soon as I'm done editing something, it goes as a preview. So if anybody's interested in signing up for that, you can check that out too. Anyway, there's another thank you, Michelle.
That's not about me. It's about all the cool people out there. There's some amazing people in my region.
But Michelle, if you were a jerk, they wouldn't have even taken your call. So
I try not to be a jerk, but
I think you do a good job of not being a jerk. So this is I'll go through this as quickly as I can, because I know you have some more stuff to share, Michelle. So I went to Salt Lake City about a week after I got back from our Colorado adventure. Sydney and I stayed in Colorado for an extra week. We went to a place called Estes Park. Then we came home. Then a week later, I went to Salt Lake City. So a lot of stuff happened in between then. And I went to Salt Lake City to hang out with this guy. You know him as Fabio.
Alvin.
Right?
Love Alvin.
you might know him as Shakalaka Bro, Unicycle Guy. I mean, he has a lot of different names. Anyway, I'd been meaning to get out to I had been meaning to get out to Salt Lake City. That was my phone hitting the floor.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it didn't break. I'd been meaning to get out to Salt Lake City for like I said earlier, about the last 4 years or so, to do some layout videos. And I set this up. You know, this is another one of those things, just like the meet and greet, where it was always months away. It was always months away. It's over now. So I ended up in there about 2 weeks ago in Salt Lake City. And on the first day I was there, the first full day I was there, we went out chasing trains with that motley crew up the top left. The only person, well, actually, there's two people that weren't in the last group of photos.
I see Cameron, though.
Yeah, Cameron's there. And at the end of the table, and then just to his right, or to our left, next to me, is a guy named Jeff Pierce. And Jeff Pierce is the current president of the Rio Grande Modeling and Historical Society. So, Michelle, if you don't know Jeff, you know a lot of people who know Jeff.
I do know Jeff. I've met him
good.
at the Cheyenne train show over the years. Yeah,
okay.
He's a great guy.
Yeah, great guy. I was lucky to get to ride around with him on this Chasing Trains day, and we saw all kinds of cool stuff. And Alvin took us to the site where he's trying to get the rail viewing platform built. And if you look at the top right picture there, that's a front runner. That's their commute service for the Salt Lake City area, or the greater Salt Lake area. And that's a picture from where the platform would be if it gets built. So you can see it's in a decent place. And especially in the morning, the sun is great there. So this is going to be, guess what, on another Chasing Trains video. And this one is done being edited. This one, if it hasn't already been, it will be available to patrons very soon.
So this photo right here is where the platform would be?
It is.
What a great view, Alvin. Good choice.
Yeah, right? So that train in the background, that's a freight train to the right there, is coming. That's actually a local that switches out at Industry not far from here. It's actually, do you see this one? It's that train. This at the bottom. That train, that's where it switches out some stuff at a local Industry.
That's cool. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, it was actually backing into the industry when that front runner came by. I don't know why they had their ditch lights and headlight on full blast like that. I think when they're backing up, they're supposed to be dim, but whatever. The other really cool thing, and you'll see this on the video, is they use a caboose on that train. They actually have a nice,
awesome.
Yeah, they have a nice shiny UP caboose.
That's awesome.
When's the last time you saw any train with a caboose that was out on the main line like that? I mean, that's just pretty cool.
That's really rare.
Absolutely.
I have one in Nebraska, but they use it during blizzards for crew.
Okay, see, that makes sense. And this one is used.
Yeah, I think BNSF in Wyoming uses one sometimes, but yeah, it's very rare.
Yep. Anyway, the next day, this is one of the layouts that I had planned on doing. This guy in the bottom right corner is Lee Nicholas. He's also in the middle there with me, and he'd been wanting me to come out and video his layout for quite some time. And I'm trying to remember, it was the Utah. Oh shoot, it's right here on the locomotives. Utah, I want to say Utah, Colorado, and Western. Does that sound right? I think that's it. Anyway, it's a great layout. And I remember talking to John Parker, and John Parker said that he got a lot of his ideas from Lee. And so when I went to see Lee's layout, I recognized the things that John was talking about. So it's a well-designed layout. It's a layout made for operations. It has a lot of great scenery, and Lee was just a great host. We had a great time filming there. That's cool. Yep, that's a layout tour that will be out again sometime later this year. That was followed the next day by another layout. This is an SN3 layout of the Denver and Rio Grande that's being built by the guy in the top right. His name is Doug Jolly. Doug, I've talked about before. He's standing there in his crew lounge, and his crew lounge is set up as a biker bar.
That's awesome.
Right? So he served me that drink that's in the foreground. That's some kind of Mike's Hard Lemonade thing. Of course, after we were done recording, we sat down and had a drink, and just in his biker bar. That was probably the best part of the day. I mean, the layout's great. I don't want to discount the layout, but the best part for me was hanging out and just shooting it.
Okay. I see something amazing in the 3 photos on the left.
Oh, really?
That's the number 20. That's the Rio Grande Southern number 20 that I love so much. It's at the Colorado Railroad Museum.
That's one of your favorites, isn't it?
That's one of my favorites.
Yep. Did you notice that amazing 3-truck Cheyenne in the bottom right?
Yeah, look at that.
I mean, how cool is that? I'm coming to realize that I think the narrow gauge modelers tend to be the best modelers. They have usually the best detail. I was talking to Michelle about this before we went live today. S-scalers so far, I've never seen a bad S-scale layout yet. And this is just another example of just amazing modeling. And what a great guy, too. That's the other thing. So
that's awesome.
The next day was another layout video. This was with Rob Spangler. And I've had Rob on this channel twice now. I had him on the first time to talk about creating a signature industry for your layout. And we had a great discussion with a lot of photographs that he shared of just plain stuff, mundane stuff that you just see every day. And he took pictures of all this stuff so that when he built his layout, he could include it. So like if he was building a warehouse, he'd look at his pictures of a similar warehouse and go, oh, it has this kind of stuff just on the ground outside, or this type of fence,
That's awesome.
Right? So there it is. And I had seen this layout back in 2019 when I was in the area. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I have to do a video of this place. And I've been talking to Rob ever since. And the second time he was on this channel, I think, was for a video about backdrops. And as you can see from the pictures, he's very good at painting backdrops. The picture in the top right of the screen here, to me, it looks like a structure, but that's actually painted on the wall, that barn. And there's
really cool.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff.
And the road going up in the center picture at the top.
Yeah.
Like that's painted.
Yeah. Where does the paint start and the layout begin? Or, layout end and the paint begin? It's just, he's done an amazing job with this. It's
that switcher in the lower right looks kind of familiar.
I don't know, Michelle, if he has the 1503 on his layout.
I was going to ask if the 1503 is the further one. I can't read the number.
I don't think it was.
Okay.
I think I asked him if he had it, but I don't remember what he said.
That might have been one in another Chasing Trains video.
Yeah, that's something else. Anyway, so that's another layout tour video that I shot while I was in Salt Lake City. And then the next day, we just went rail fanning. I mean, we didn't have any layouts to shoot. I didn't do a Chasing Trains. We just hung out and we drove down to Provo and hung out around Provo Yard for a little while. And on our way back, we stopped at a hobby shop called Hobby Stop. And actually, Michelle, it's people that we know from the Youth and Model Railroading Summit that we did. I forgot their names now. Doug, I think, and I can't remember now.
They came with Blaine from Salt Lake.
I think they came with Blaine. That was their shop, and they had someone watching it because they were at the N-Scale convention in Reno.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so
and I was at O-Scale convention that week. There's so much going on.
Yes.
During that time. It was crazy.
Yep. We had a great time. Yeah, that was a really fun day. Just, all the work was done with all the layout tours. And I got to tell you, shooting 3 layouts in 3 consecutive days is very tiring. The next day, we did some more foaming around.
Regulator. Love it.
Yeah, right. So we went to Ogden on this day, and we went into a mall in Ogden. I want to say Northgate Mall. I don't know if that sounds familiar to anybody, but inside there, they have a layout that's being built by a group called the Hostlers. And the Hostlers are like the main railroad group around there. I believe they do some modular stuff, and they would set up their display at the Ogden Union Station every year. And while we were out there, we went to Ogden Yard, which is where the pictures of the 2 freight trains come from. And then the one up the top left was actually a hot Z train that was going toward Salt Lake City through the Ogden Yard. So we took off and we tried to catch it further south, but all we caught was the maintenance of way stuff. So I think that kind of answered the question why the train wasn't going through, because they were working on the tracks.
I get excited about maintenance way. I like this stuff. I like seeing it in action. It's really fun to watch.
I don't know that I've ever caught a maintenance of way train doing work. They came
through Greeley, and so every day I'd go out, what are we doing today? Because they spent like a week working in Greeley, so they told me how every machine worked, and it was so fun.
I wish I could have been there, because I would have made a video about it. I want to know what all these things are, because I don't know.
Ties. They pulled the ties out. Every other tie came out, and it was so cool.
It's just fascinating to see the machines they have to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so that was that day. We had a good time that day too. And then the next morning, this was totally not expected.
Wow.
Alvin's like, hey, we got to get up early because we're going to go to the UTA shop. I'm like, the UTA shop? Yeah, that's cool. So I was allowed to take pictures there. And the guy, if you see, there's a picture of Alvin and me with this guy standing in the middle of us. His name is Derek Clark. And he's one of their supervisors at this shop. And he walked us around and showed us all of what's going on there. And it was just absolutely fascinating. The UTA shop is in a former Union Pacific shop. So they have all the cranes, like they have a 250-ton crane in this place, which I don't know that I've ever seen one that big before. One of those overhead cranes. They could pick up an entire locomotive with this thing. It's just remarkable how well the shop is outfitted, and the UTA gets to do all of their work in there. And it's a cool place. I've talked to Derek, and we'd like to go. I'm going to go back there sometime, and hopefully we'll do a whole segment about the shop and their operations at the shop, because they do everything that makes a commute train run there. And it's just so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was able to peek into the innards of an MP36 on the top right corner there. You can see that's the prime mover inside an MP36 that was being worked on in the shop. There's a turntable there that's next to it. It's just so cool. So that was a great time. That same morning, we went to there's another place not far from here where there's a passenger car sitting out called the Janus L, and it's owned by the Promontory Division of the National Railway Historical Society, the NRHS. Did I say that right? NHRS, whatever it is, the National Railway Historical. It's NRHS. Yeah. NRHS. Anyway, and we hung out with some guys in their car there and just kind of shot the crap, if you will, and had a great time meeting some other people with similar interests. And we talked about NRHS issues. And while we were there, Alvin signed up to be an NRHS member. So he's part of the Promontory chapter now.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Museum is a member of NRHS.
Who is?
The museum, the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. We've been a member. Did you know if you're a member of NRHS, you get $2 off admission at the Colorado Model Railroad Museum?
I didn't know that.
You probably had no idea.
Well, I'm a member of the Colorado Model Railroad Museum, so I think
you get free admission anyway.
it's good to be liked.
Yes.
Anyway, let's get on to this. That was my trip to Salt Lake City.
You brought my thing up. Okay, so we're going on to my show. Oh, I can click here, right? Okay. Oh. So on June 7th, I actually had Bill Kepner from the Loco Cab, right? And a guy named Dave Schaff, he's with the Rocky Mountain Railroad Club. I could only chase for one day. So I sent out a message. I said, anybody else want to chase for just one day? So those two guys were like, we'll go. So we had a great time. So we started off at the east end of the Cheyenne Yard, and this is the Logan Street Bridge. And so this is 8 a.m. and they're heading out. So it was just a fun. I'd never been up on this bridge before, but it's got a great view.
It does.
And then here we are just south of Ogden, Wyoming, and there's this green tower, and I love the shack on the right in front of the locomotive. I wanted both those things in my shot.
You could buy that shack in the Bay Area for about $3 million.
Yeah, really, huh? So this was fun. This was just to pull off the road at a dirt crossing. And there's
I like it, Michelle.
Thank you. I'm trying to learn photography. The sun sucked the whole day. There was no good sun for any photographers, really. Very, very little.
This isn't bad, though. I mean, you're on the correct side, so.
Dave, the Logan Bridge is on the east end of the yard. You went over just the main bridge that goes right into downtown Cheyenne. So I doubt you went to the Logan Bridge because you have to go through a neighborhood to get there. But yeah, it's a neat bridge. Yeah. You actually were literally there like just a couple weeks before they left on this trip. This trip was kind of a quick change into this trip from another one. So it was kind of a quick announcement. So then after it stopped in Albany, I did the photography thing where you go up on a hill and you like get this long curving shot. I'd never done that before. So this was new for me, Ralph Fanning. I would have never stopped here. And the guys were like, this is great, Michelle, we should do this one. Because this is actually an S curve, but I just pulled out the one photo here. Right after it passes us here, it goes through a tunnel. And there were like 1,000 people at the tunnel, right? Hundreds of people. So we're like, we don't want to do that. So we did this one instead. And so then we went beyond the tunnel, and this is almost to LaGrange, Wyoming. Again, just at a crossing, a dirt road, bunch of photographers in a line. It was so fun. If you've never chased and done the photography lines with people, they're really fun. Just the talking among the people, and we all see each other. And I made peanut butter sandwiches for everybody because I know there's nowhere to eat in Wyoming. There is no fast food out here. In fact, there's only one bathroom. It's in LaGrange. And so I tried to share that out with everybody. And I made everybody peanut butter sandwiches. So I'm just handing out food. So then from here, we went to, this is Lyman, Nebraska, Lyman, Lyman, Nebraska. And we are 3 miles south of my birthplace where this photo is taken. Yeah. So this is where I grew up. And so that's why this was such a dear to my heart. Okay, that is a hilarious comment, Sydney, because I got to tell you guys a story. Go back to this one. So we're here at this photo line, and these 2 young guys pull up. And this guy goes out in front of us, kind of right in front of the pile of rocks right there, and puts his tripod down. And I'm like, excuse me, but we have the photo line back here. And he's like, yeah, but this is a great place. And I said, well, there's this thing called etiquette in rail fanning. And if you don't come back into the photo line, which there's this awesome spot for you right here, everybody's going to be really mad at you. He kind of looks at me, and another guy's like, yeah, we're kind of serious. And so finally he comes back and gets in the photo line and he goes, oh yeah, this is okay. Yeah, this will work. And so here's some more etiquette. If you've never done the photo line, you need to know this etiquette. And maybe we don't teach it, right? That you get in line. That's the point. Everybody's shot is good. We're all equal. Your shot looks almost identical to everybody else's. Like, you're a little left or right. You can choose your spot. But there's also this thing where it's the first person that starts filming says rolling. Have you experienced this, John? You know what I'm talking about?
I know where you're going with it.
Yeah. So they say rolling, and that means we all stop talking, right? So you can get the sounds of the locomotive, you can get good filming. So Kevin Gilliam from Trains Magazine is there, and he says rolling. And so we're all like, except that guy that we had to move from in front of us, he goes, okay, folks, we're here live at the crossing and we're about to get the big boy. And we're just like, oh.
He must have been doing a live stream.
I guess, but you shouldn't do it in a crowd of people.
Oh, like, I'm not arguing.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It was just, we were just like, oh my gosh. So then after this place, they stopped in LaGrange and we went on. The next crossing is called Hot Springs. And we pull up to Hot Springs and those two guys are standing there and I'm like, nope. So I drove north and went left on a dirt road and found a really awesome crossing. And I have a video for that crossing in just a minute, if I can make it work. So here we are in Lyman. I grew up in Henry, Nebraska. If you want to look it up on a map, population 120. Lyman was the bigger town.
Well, it's 119 when you left.
It was, yeah. So this was so dear to me. And we're standing here waiting for the train, and a bunch of farmers are around. And I started talking to them, asking them if they'd seen this train in there. And it turns out I know all of them. They all know my family. Like, you know how that goes. So that was really fun. And then this is my shot. This is my spot. And I told my friends that were with me, I said, I've got this amazing location that no one knows about because my family reunion happens in Scottsbluff, Nebraska, at the YMCA camp, Trails West YMCA. And they have this big field, and you walk down to this fence, and this is your view. Because I've rail fanned the Union Pacific here so many times. And so we get down there. There was only one local person there and all of us. So we got this beautiful shot. So in the background is the Scottsbluff National Monument. And it's on the Oregon Trail. This was like, you knew you were halfway across America when you saw Scottsbluff National Monument. And it's named for Hiram Scott, who died on it, of course. So they named it after Scott, right? Scottsbluff. So this was just, and that's the North Platte River in the front. UP's line going over a bridge where the Tri-State Canal comes back into the river, and then the monument. So it was just like the highlight of my day and my trip. So
which direction are you facing on that, Michelle?
South. We're facing south. Again, there is no good shot. The direction he was going for the afternoon, there was no good shots. But this was probably the best near Scottsbluff because as soon as it crosses this bridge, it's in town. So there's no way to get the monument and the big boy in a shot. You'll see very few that actually happen. So and then here are the people, and you might recognize the guy on the right here as Nick Valdez.
Yep.
And his dad somehow did not get in this picture. His dad, Ken, is the most amazing person, and he's usually with us. And then this is, I think, Ryan. Oh, I just met him that day, but he works at the Royal Gorge Fruit Railroad. Oh. And then Dave Schaff from Rocky Mountain Railroad. You might know Kate Cratville Wren. Kevin Gilliam from Trains Magazine, and our famous Bill Kettner. And we're all staring into the sun, so none of us have our eyes open. But it's the only group picture I had. I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah. I should have mentioned Nick's dad. He was at the 4014 at the UP Steam Shop that day when we were in Cheyenne, and I really enjoyed talking to him.
Isn't he great? And Nick always rail fans with his father, and I think that is so cool.
It is.
It's really cool. And now I want to show a video before I show the next two slides. So how do I have to upload this video?
Yeah, it'll be fast. It'll be fast though with your connection.
I hope so. I just got to go find it. Pictures. Boy, I'm sorry I didn't get it done earlier. Let's see if we can make this happen. Okay, so this is the first for me.
Oh, I think I just saw it pop up. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah. Let's play it.
Oh.
That deer, me and that deer were looking each other in the eye, and I'm like, it's gonna run me over. And then it turned and ran right in front of Bill Kettner.
Oh, I see it now.
You see it?
Yep.
Yeah, so that deer was running faster. Do it one more time. That deer is running faster than the big boy. I hope you guys can all see the deer. And so I'm standing there, and this deer pops up, and I grab my tripod, and I was like, I'm gonna die rail fanning. And in that moment, like, I'm looking at the deer, it's looking at me, and all of a sudden it goes left.
One more time. I gotta see this one more time. There it is. I can see it coming. See it? Oh, that poor thing.
So it jumps the fence. It jumps the fence like 2 feet in front of Bill Kettner, who was probably as wide-eyed as I was.
That poor thing was scared to death.
It was. We were just like, oh, it's so funny.
Oh man.
So that was my rail fan day this year. That's the only chasing train I got to do for the big boy this year. But,
okay. Did you say there's another video, or is that the only one?
No, I have slides on this. I just have 2 more slides.
Okay.
So the next week I had the O-Scale National Convention. And for those of you that went to Union Station, this is Denver Union Station in O-Scale, the 1950s version, before they redid some of the side stuff. Uh-huh. And they had the lights, if you remember the big hanging lights, and I didn't take a good picture of it, but they had the exact lights in the main lobby, those hanging beautiful. It was an incredible model in O-Scale. And if you notice, it's on like 2 giant tables.
Yeah. Do you know who built it?
Yeah, it's they're from Oklahoma. It's the O-Scalers from Eastern Oklahoma.
Cool.
And I can't remember the name of the group, but it is a fantastic model. So it was so cool. And they actually won the contest.
Mm-hmm. I can see why. Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Because it's pretty amazing. And they brought it out. So I wanted to show you that. And then at the convention, oh, do I not have one more slide? Did it not get it up?
Let me see.
Oh, I wonder if it lost it.
Oh, there's no more on the.
I have one more picture I really wanted to show. So how am I going to show one more photo? I can't just upload it.
If you find it, you can just share your screen.
Let me do that.
Yeah.
How do I share screen on here?
Oh, use that.
Share screen. I found it.
Yep.
I want to share this one. Okay. We're going to share.
Okay. Oh, here it is.
Okay.
What? There it is.
Yeah. Do you guys see this? This is Boyd Reyes, and he's from California, and he's a longtime friend of mine. He does brass. He's been on BrassTrains.com over the years as one of their.
Yeah, I recognize him.
Yeah. So he does a lot of O-Scale 2 rail brass, but he brought this to the museum 2 years ago, and I loved it. This is the DC-3 Union Pacific track inspection car. Mm-hmm. And he brought it to me at O-Scale and said, Michelle, this is my gift to you because you go to so many layouts. I wanted you to have something that you could put on any layout and travel with you. And now I can come to your layout and inspect your track. I just want you guys to know that I own this. Boyd gave it to me. So now I can come to layouts and inspect your track. And I am excited. If you will allow me to put it on your home layout when I visit you, I'm bringing it.
Michelle, I promise if you come here again, or I should say when you come here again someday, I'll set up my test track on my workbench over here, and I'll let you put it.
Yeah. So if you have a home layout and I'm in your area and you would like your track inspected and you're watching this show, let me know because this thing has all the lights and it's gorgeous. It's so pretty. Max speed is a little slow because it's brass, but I'm inspecting tracks. I'm supposed to go slow, right?
We should do a video about it.
We should. It is fantastic and I love it. And I'm so excited and so thankful that Boyd would give me such a gift.
So it's self-propelled then, huh?
Yes, yeah. It's self-propelled. all the little lights work on it. It's so super detailed in brass. I'm terrified every time I open it up. I'm like, please don't break anything on it because it's so pretty.
Can we put it down on the Colorado Model Railroad Museum layout?
I did it. I ran it around the entire layout.
Oh, I want to see that. Okay.
So I have some short videos. I'll have to get them off my phone though.
Yeah, mark that down for next time we're out there.
Yeah, I love it. It's so fun. So, yeah.
That's exciting.
Anyway, I wanted to share that. So that's all I've got.
Cool.
Okay, I'll come, Sparky. When I come up there, I'll bring you an inspector track. Thank you, Roy. I'll bring it to your house too. I can inspect the track. Okay, we can do that.
Dave's making plans. Oh man. All right. Well, I know you have a lot of stuff to do and you got to pack and get ready for your next adventure.
I'm going camping in Wyoming with my family. So I'm excited. So you won't see anything because I won't have cell service probably.
That'll be a good getaway though, right? Because you've been so busy. You've really been busy this whole year, Michelle. Jeez.
I have. And there's stuff coming up. I wanted to talk about this before we go.
Oh,
Spring Creek Model Trains has their train show in Dashler, Nebraska on July 7th and 8th, I think it is. And if you're in that area or you want a road trip, that is a fantastic place to go and see because it's in the middle of literally nowhere. And they like triple their town's population for the train show. And it's just fun. But all the manufacturers are there. So it's just, they show up because they're such a big customer and stuff. And it's just fun, just plain fun. I don't get to go this year. I was going to go and then my plans changed. So, and then the weekend after that on July 15th, we have Scale Trains Roadshow coming to the Colorado Model Railroad Museum. So if you're watching this and you're anywhere near the Colorado Model Railroad Museum, make sure you come out on Saturday, the 15th of July.
I think they're going to be out in my area not too long after that.
I think so. Yeah, I think they come out to you guys like 2 weeks later or something. He said he was out in the Bay Area.
Yeah,
so
that sounds right. I think
really fun. Yeah.
I think they're going to be at the SBHRS on July 31st or something like that. So
that's awesome.
And I sent an email to Shane asking him if he wanted to do some kind of a video while he's out here, and I haven't heard back from him. I should probably just call him.
Because he's on the road, you should call him.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, so lots of stuff going on this summer. And then, of course, the NMRA is in August. And then I have the National Narrow Gauge 3 days later. And there's just so much going on.
Boy, you're just going to be even busier still.
Yeah, wow. It doesn't. I told my husband, I said, after this weekend, I'll see you in September.
Yeah, maybe just don't arrange anything until after that. You know, like after September, do something next year.
So call me then.
Yeah, after September, though, do something next year.
Yeah.
Right? You got to have some time off once in a while.
Yep, lots going on. Exciting stuff. So I'm sure there's train shows all over the country going on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the weather's getting good, too. So everybody's going to be doing their stuff now. So get out there and have fun, as I always say on the podcast.
Oh, when's the Garden Railroad? The National Garden Railroad's in your area.
Oh, duh. I should mention that.
So we should mention that.
It's that whole first week of July. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be helping. Well, yeah, that actually brings up something else that I was going to mention. I didn't get any pictures of him for this, but I know I told you, Michelle, that we lost Eric from the Fern Creek and Western. He went to the Great Caboose in the Sky. I think it was Monday morning. I got a call from Trevor. And so this might be everybody's last chance to go see the Fern Creek and Western at 419 Ocean View Drive in Santa Cruz, because pretty soon it won't be there anymore because Eric.
And it's really cool. I like it.
Yeah. So let me pull up my calendar real quick and I'll tell you for the National Garden Railway Convention, they're going to have the Fern Creek and Western Garden Railroad open on Wednesday, July 5th. So if you're part of the convention, make sure to visit that. I'm also going to be helping in Hollister at the San Benito Southern on the 7th because they're going to have their open house that day. And then we're going to have, now where did it go? Here it is. We're going to have an op session on July 9th at the Fern Creek and Western. And then we're going to make a video of it because we have to video it in its final iteration, in its final state. Otherwise, it'll get lost to time. So, yeah. So the national, I keep wanting to call it narrow gauge, but it's, Garden Railway Convention.
Yes. Which is a really big convention. It's usually really big.
Yeah. It is. It goes on for like 8 or 10 days, I think.
Long.
So
yeah. It's cool. We had it in Denver last year and I got to go to one and it was great.
Yeah. It's a pretty serious event and I'm looking forward to catching what I can of it because we joined the Bay Area Garden Railway Society, I think 2 years ago. And that's kind of who it's for. So I know a bunch of people that have garden railroads. Can't help all of them, unfortunately, because they have open houses sometimes on the same day.
Right.
So, but I am looking forward to that. It's going to be kind of weird going to the Fern Creek and Western and not seeing Eric there, but, I'm
sorry.
It happens. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I think I told you, Michelle, that we also lost my mom.
I know.
A couple of weeks ago.
That's so hard. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So this coming podcast is going to be dedicated to both of them.
Oh, nice. That's really nice, John.
Yep. So, boy, we really ended on a high note.
Bro, on that happy note for everybody. It's life.
Well, though, I do want to say something about Eric. It's the only thing I regret really is that not having met him sooner, just because he was a great mentor. And one of the best stories that I've seen in model railroading and just railroading in general and mentorship is knowing Eric's relationship with Trevor and Paul. Because he did exactly the kinds of things that we talk about doing when it comes to encouraging people to get into the hobby. He, I think, single-handedly created an event that happened every year during Christmas time at the Museum of Art and History in Santa Cruz, where they would set up a whole giant layout of garden scale, O scale, S scale, just a bunch of stuff. And they had pedestals where that were kid height, where kids could operate the trains. Now, they had the trains dialed back so that nothing could crash and they couldn't go too fast. But the point was kids got to do it.
Yeah.
And there's something about for a kid to put their hand on a throttle and do that and see what happens on the track.
That's fantastic.
Right. That's really kind of magical. And, we talked about that. I think you're going to do something similar to that for your garden display behind the museum there. And it's a really great way to give kids to empower kids, to give them the chance to
let them touch it and learn it.
Right. I mean, because
experience it.
Usually with model trains, it's like, don't touch it. It's not a toy. Well, if you can have something that they can touch, then they get into it. And I think it's a great way to get kids interested in the hobby. So, and Eric, I mean, he was at their open houses at the Fern Creek and Western. He was out front with a throttle, letting everybody blow the whistle and ring the bell and all that stuff on the engine that he was running in front. He was almost always the one doing that. And the Fern Creek and Western, I mean, anybody can go. They have kids come all the time. There's the one kid, I think you met him when you were here last year, Justin, that has been a regular for probably 2 or 3 years now at the Fern Creek and Western. And I mean, I don't know what's going to happen to the Fern Creek and Western other than that it's going to be dismantled. I hope that someone figures a way to build it somewhere else. I mean, it won't be the same, but they could keep it going. They have a lot of really cool structures. Trevor built that bridge with Gary Lee up where he lives, that nice bridge out in front that they installed. There's one in the back that he scratch built. They have all kinds of really amazing structures. So this would be probably the best time to come see that layout because it's the best it's ever been. And maybe the last time. So
go see it if you're in the area for sure. It was cool. I enjoyed my visit.
Yep. I'm really glad that I got to know Eric as much as I did. And like I said, the only thing I regret is not having met him sooner. But I mean, it's people die. It happens, and all you can do is be glad that you knew them. I mean, because otherwise it gets depressing. So I'm glad that I knew him, and I will remember that all the nice things that he did that influenced me. Whenever I do something nice for someone, that's him living on through my actions.
Right.
So,
exactly. You're honoring him.
Yep. That's how people live on. So it's that ripple effect, that'll carry. I mean, eventually, I guess ripples wear out, but I'm a first ripple. So
start another ripple. It's all good.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Anyway, so we should probably wrap this up.
Well, thanks everybody for watching our stories. And
yeah, I have a great time every time, Michelle, we do this show. I have a great time. It's the only time it seems like that I have to catch up with you. So thanks for coming.
Thanks. And you guys have a great summer, everybody. I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see you in September. Let's try to make that happen if we can. All right. Thanks everybody for watching.
All right. Thanks everybody. Bye.